Now, militants have attacked a boat belonging to Nigeria's state oil firm NNPC in the Niger Delta, killing at least 6 people. The attack took place in the Warri area, where militants have staged a series of attacks on oil pipelines in recent weeks. Vandalism and sabotage to oil pipelines in the region is becoming a common occurrence as militants unleash a barrage of attacks on oil installations in the Niger Delta region. The attacks have caused a huge decline in Nigeria's oil production, which of course is the mainstay of the West African state's economy. Now, Nigeria has begun cleaning up decades of oil pollution in the Niger Delta region, despite a last-minute cancellation by the president to launch the exercise. No reasons were given for the cancellation. The Avengers militant group had, however, threatened oil companies with bloody attacks ahead of the planned visit by the president. He was represented by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. Now, Deji Badmus joins me in Lagos with an update on the situation. Deji, welcome to the show. Now, if we look at the data, currently about 19 of the country's 23 gas-powered generators, they've been shut down after those Niger Delta Avengers knocked out the Forcados pipeline. Now, what is the government doing to deal with this damage?
Well, what the government is doing, Uche, is to try and stop the attacks. As you're aware, the government has opened talks with this militants, even though it's not talking directly with the so-called Niger Delta Avengers. At least some of the ex-militants have been talking with the government. And the hope is that if some of these ex-militants are part of the Niger Delta Avengers, you know, they'll be persuaded to stop the attack. But so far, as you've been reporting, of course, the attacks have not stopped. But what the government knows it has to do is to ensure that the attacks are stopped. Now, is the government going to use military means to stop the attacks? Very difficult to tell. Will that be effective? It's very difficult to tell if that will be effective. But we know the government has, you know, increased military presence in the Niger Delta. But despite this military presence, we're seeing more and more attacks. So there's no question at all that people will continue to mount pressure on the government to get serious about these talks with the militants so that they can stop the attack. Other than stopping the attacks, it's difficult to see how you know, the power situation in the country can improve, especially if these militants continue to destroy pipelines and gas, especially gas lines now. This gas, you need them actually to power the turbines you've been talking about, Uche.
And let's talk a little bit more about the gas in Nigeria. Give us some insight into the extent of the damage these attacks have had on gas pipelines, and of course how this is affecting electricity output in the country. Output, we hear, is currently at around 1,000 megawatts. What is happening, Deji?
Uche, the attack is causing a lot of damage. The damage is very huge and massive. Before now, you know, Nigeria has been struggling with its power sector. You never have constant power supply here. And, you know, the government has invested so much in the power sector. As you've been reporting, as a matter of fact, the number of gas turbines we have in the country, you know, quite a lot of them. But so far, it's difficult to get gas now to power these turbines. And you know what the government says it is losing in a day in the power sector? $10 million. That's the estimate that has come out from the electricity regulator here, that it is losing $10 million every day as a result of this vandalism. Now, because of that problem, people don't enjoy power in the country. 1,000 megawatts is just not enough for 170 million people. Surely not enough for the population of Lagos. It's a very terrible situation, and it's getting worse by the day. We hardly get power here for even up to 2 hours, and sometimes for less than 1 hour in a day. And sometimes you just don't get it at all. So it's a terrible situation, taking a huge toll on businesses, and people are really complaining, Uche.
Now, Deji, I'd like to shift focus a bit and talk a little bit about the oil sector. Of course, we know OPEC today decided against an output ceiling. What for you does this mean for oil prices going forward? And of course, I'd like to throw in the situation in the Niger Delta, of course, reducing global production.
Well,
what does it mean when we look at all of this together?
To be candid, Uche, it's not surprising at all that OPEC decided not to do anything about outputs. You know, all this while it had done nothing, and we've seen oil prices, you know, coming up gradually. And even though after taking that decision, we saw prices falling slightly, but I don't think we're going to have any kind of problem at all. I think we're still going to continue to have an upward swing now in the prices of oil because of because of the problems, of course, in Nigeria. You know, there have been disruptions in supply in Nigeria, places like Canada and some other places, and as a result of that, we're beginning to see that glut we had in the oil market now come down, and prices are now beginning to go up. I think for the short and long term, prices will continue to go up, not until maybe you have situations where the problems in Nigeria, for instance, is resolved. Nigeria is supposed to be doing 2 million barrels per day. At the moment, it's doing, well, we don't really know how much it's doing. The last time we were told it was 1.4. There's a possibility that has gone down. We know the problem in Canada. So if you ask me, it's no surprise at all that these OPEC leaders decided, OPEC decided not to act because they know that, you know, as we move on, prices will continue to go up, as we have seen over the past few months, Uche.
Well, thank you so much, Deji, for those insights. Deji Badmus joining us in Lagos. Now